are going to get this meeting started. Ms. Davis, can you help us with that, please? Roll call.
Dr. Bovee, not in attendance. Mr. Castile.
Here.
Dr. Davis. Here. Ms. Ellis is not in attendance. Mr. Garvey.
Here.
Ms. Holloway. Here. Mr. Mellering.
Here.
Mr. Morris.
Here.
Ms. Orange-Jones is not in attendance. Mr. Rock.
Here.
Ms. Boucher is not in attendance. You have a quorum.
Yes.
Okay, we have a quorum.
You do.
Thank you. Next item.
Next item is the invocation.
Okay, today we're going to have Ms. Dr. Belinda Davis lead us in the invocation.
Father, we come to you this morning grateful for the opportunity to serve the children and families of Louisiana. We ask for your wisdom for our decisions and those made by our legislators across the street. Let us always be mindful of what best serve the needs of children and educators. We are thankful that we are able to gather here freely to conduct the business of our democracy, because as we look across the world right now, we know that this is something that should not be taken for granted. And Lord, we ask for peace for those whose countries are being torn apart by war and civil unrest. And finally, Lord, we lift up Paul Vautier and his family. Please place your healing hand upon Paul and give Doris and her family your comfort during these difficult times. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, and now we are going to have the Beta Club state representatives lead us in the pledge. We have Anna Jackson, Madeline Zagura, and Olivia Arsenault leading us in that. Thank you.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Ms. Davis, next item, please.
Next item, consideration of the recognition of Beta Day. Can we get a motion, please?
We have a motion to that effect. Mr. Rock, second by Mr. Miller.
Thank you, President Logan. And Superintendent Brumley and board members, it's my honor and pleasure to serve as the Beta Club Council Chair here in Louisiana. The National Beta Club is the largest independent nonprofit educational youth organization in America. For more than 80 years, it has prepared today's students to be tomorrow's leaders. The mission statement of the Beta Club is to promote the ideals of academic achievement, character, service, and leadership among elementary and secondary school students. Currently, there are over 20,000 students in Louisiana who are members of the Beta Club. Each year, thousands of Louisiana students participate at the Beta Club state and national conventions in a variety of competitions, including quiz bowl, officer campaigns, performing and visual arts, academic tests. Yes, academic tests. These students actually want to go to convention and take academic tests. Woodworking, speech, robotics, poetry, and many more. At the 2021 National Convention last year in Orlando, 3 of our state officers were actually elected to national officers. That's a big deal. Current state officers, and as I call your names, please come out here in the front. Senior National President Anna Jackson from St. Mary's Catholic School. Senior Vice President Leanne Montalbano, Sam Houston. Senior National Secretary Zach Broussard, ERAF High. Junior President Madeline Zagura, ERAF Middle. Junior Vice President Alexis Addison, S.J. Welsh Middle, go Colts. Junior Secretary Sarah Gagnon, Bell Chase Middle School. Elementary National President Olivia Arsenault, Oak Grove Primary. Elementary Vice President Samaya Jackson, Martha Vineyard Elementary. And then we have leadership representatives. Junior leadership representatives, Madeline Roquan, Martha Vineyard Elementary. Luke Lyons, Prairie View Middle. You may remember Luke. Luke came here in front of you and gave his national award-winning speech. Senior leadership representatives are Mackenzie Bro from Houma Christian and Catherine Springer from North Desoto High. The Beta Club could not exist without sponsors, the club sponsors, and of course our state sponsors. And these ladies do a tremendous job of organizing and working with our national Beta Club staff to put on huge state conventions. As a matter of fact, for a while, our junior convention in Lafayette at the Cajun Dome was the world's largest Beta Club convention. We have since separated elementary from junior so that we would not be over capacity in the Cajun Dome. So our current state sponsors are Ashley Townsend, Aaron March. I'm not sure if Aaron made it yet. Oh, good. DeAndre Bloom, Jennifer DeSarmo, Christy Abear, Emily Zagura, and DK Darnell. We also have a state council, and one of our state council members is here, Ken Worsham. Should we maybe kind of sit around there? Organize the same thing. And we got the soup coming down.
Mr. Leger, thank you for that presentation. Ms. Davis, we have our next item, please.
Can we get approval of the agenda, please?
Yes, ma'am. We get a motion, Mr. Rock, Mr. Milburn, second. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, motion carries.
Approval of the minutes from March 9th, 2022.
We have a motion to approve, Mr. Milburn, Mr. Rock, seconds. Any discussion, any questions? Hearing none, any objections to the motion? Hearing none, motion carries. Next item.
Next item, we have a motion on the floor from Mr. Rock and Mr. Mellering to continue with our recognition items. We're going to do a recognition of Ascension Public Schools, the NIET District Award of Excellence.
And who is presenting that?
I bet that's
Okay. Mr. Superintendent, please.
Yes, sir. So the National Institute for Excellence in Teaching, NIET, awards one school system in the country annually for excellence in elevating the teaching profession, getting outstanding results for kids, working to make sure that teachers have the opportunity to get better at their craft each week through meaningful professional development. And we have been talking about this type of work for the last couple of years, and we're now seeing it more and more in our schools across the state, which is great. But this particular year, when NIET announced their winner for the entire country, it was our very own Ascension Parish Public Schools. And so I just felt it would be appropriate at this time to not only, they've already been recognized quite handsomely, But I thought it would also be important to acknowledge them here at the meeting today and ask Superintendent Alexander and any members of his team that he would like to bring forward and just tell a little bit about the work that you're doing and the reason in which you received this particular award. So Superintendent Alexander, we'd love for you to come forward.
So yeah, we brought a crew.
You'll do a picture and then you'll do the microphone.
Okay. We'll follow whatever you instruct.
We gotta keep moving so I can have a little bit of sign up for it.
John, I want to step in front.
Everybody else did.
We're from the concho.
Mr. Alexander, please brag on your team.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. Well, first of all, I want to brag on you guys. Thank you all for taking the time. Council board members, Superintendent Bernal, for the opportunity to be recognized as our school district. We really appreciate that. Certainly, we were honored at the recent NIET conference in Grapevine, Texas, not long ago. But this is equally as special to be in your own state, among your own peers, and among the folks that give you the guidance to have an opportunity here to talk a little bit about our school district. First of all, the group that came up, those are all the district leaders, but it would be lost upon us to not say that they really are representing 3,100 plus other people that are committed every day to make sure that teachers are better, teachers continue to grow, teachers continue to get the feedback that they need, the support they need, along with accountability. But accountability without support is what runs people off. So we really appreciate the descriptors that NIET can provide about what a good lesson should be. And we appreciate the structures that NIET provides around teacher collaboration and looking at the feedback around what took place in the classroom, those teacher and student behaviors that really promoted learning versus those that they were obstacles to learning. So we walk out every day knowing that we've done our very best, or would like to commit to knowing that we've done our very best, but also knowing that tomorrow always is an opportunity to be better. And so from that, I think the NIET guidance, what they have taught us, helps us achieve that. And we're really grateful that we can be recognized as doing teacher development well. Because at the end of the day, you know this and I know this, the most important thing we can do is help teachers get better at the craft. So again, thank you all so much for allowing us to be here today, and good luck with the rest of your meeting.
Thank you, Superintendent. Ms. Davis, next item.
Next item is recognition of Desoto Parish as the model of excellence. Dr. Brumley?
Thank you, Ms. Davis. I'm actually going to combine in my remarks 2.3 and 2.4. So as you all know, we have over the last year tried to call out systems or schools in the state that were doing exemplary work in key areas. We have previously talked about systems that have had outstanding summer programs, systems who are doing some great early work on pre-educator pathways. And so most recently, we were able to go to Desoto and recognize Desoto as a model of excellence for their work in literacy. Now, they would tell you that they are not done yet, and they have a long way to go. But using much of the guidance that we have issued as an agency, working as system leaders and school leaders within that community, they're doing some really solid things around identifying the needs of every individual kid and making sure that they are providing interventions or extensions for those children, progress monitoring, listening to what data are telling them. And so for that, we recognized Desoto Parish Schools most recently as the latest Model of Excellence winner. And so here today, Mr. Corley, who is the strongest superintendent of Desoto Parish Schools in the last couple of decades at least, and principal from Mansfield Elementary, Ms. LaFollette. And Mr. Corley, Ms. LaFollette, we appreciate you guys just coming up, telling a little bit about what you're doing there in Desoto.
Thank you, Dr. Bromley, and members of the board. When he says strongest, I'm assuming he's talking about the weight room, because we know, obviously, we are still reaping some of the benefits, many of the benefits that were put into play under Dr. Bromley's leadership in Desoto Parish. And we are beneficiaries, as are our students and our teachers, of some of those decisions made long ago. Chiefly among those, our WIN program, our WIN process in Desoto of whatever I need for students, a day, an intentional moment every day for all students across our district in every grade to receive whatever they need, be that intervention or acceleration or anywhere in between. We thank you so much for the opportunity. I'll echo Mr. Alexander's remarks, and never before has there been a time where the work of teachers needed to be applauded and recognized, and now. And you are doing that. And so we are thankful to be a recipient of this award, this recognition. It is a byproduct of the hard work and the intentionality by our teachers and our leaders each and every day. We're especially thankful for Ms. LaFollette and Mansfield Elementary, Little Wolverines, and the work that she's done in her short time there and continues to do, as Dr. Bromley outlined. So, Ms. LaFollette, if you have anything to add.
I'll just add that we're on spring break this week in Desoto Parish, and so this is a first grade teacher, Courtney Anderson, and a second grade teacher, Miss Becky Crook, who have actually done the work. And we are so proud to be recognized by the Louisiana Department of Education. Teaching in a strategic, differentiated way is not easy work. It is difficult work, and it can sometimes be disheartening when children aren't moving the way you think they should move, and you're trying your best to be prescriptive and figure out exactly what they need. And so to be awarded after representatives from the department actually came and saw our work was extremely validating and extremely meaningful to teachers, because it wasn't about numbers on a page. It was about really coming into our building and seeing what's going on. And so that was very important, and these ladies worked extremely hard, and it was important to me that they be here today to receive this along with me and with Superintendent Corley. So again, we thank you. We also thank you for the Tier 1 curricula that was ranked by the state, because that was meaningful in our choice, and that has been one of the tools that we could not do this work without. So thank you very much for all you do and for allowing us to do what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Ms. Davis. Next item,
Did that
please.
include item 2.4 also?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Item 2.5, consideration of the recognition of Mr. Bernal Cook as the recipient of the NFEPA State Leadership Award. Dr. Crump?
Thank you, Ms. Davis. Board members, some of you may know Mr. Bernal Cook, some of you may not. But when I describe Mr. Cook, one of the first things that comes to mind to me is just a good, honest, true public servant. And that's who I have grown to know over the last couple of years. And that is one of the reasons why I wanted to certainly acknowledge the recent recognition that he received. So let me bear with me while I read a little bit, but I want to tell you a little bit about Mr. Cook's role in the award. So Mr. Cook is our Executive Director of Federal Support and Grantee Relations. So he deals with a lot of federal money every single day, making sure that flows out smoothly. He was selected as one of the recipients, one of the select few recipients from the National Association of Federal Education Program Administrators for their State Leadership Award. Very few of these awards are given. Bernal has a master's degree in Ed Administration from Southern University. He achieved highly qualified status as a secondary mathematics teacher. He's a former middle and high school math teacher and science teacher, holding a bachelor's degree in science in mechanical engineering with a minor in mathematics. In his current position at the department, he facilitates the implementation of several federal programs, Title I Part A, C, and D, Title II Part A, Title III Part A, Title IV Part A, Title V, Title IX, and all other things ESSA. So Bernal also recently has been supporting the EAMS program, which is our mechanism for the funding for the non-public schools, which has been a tremendous lift for this department because we have not added additional staff. We have just had to support in a new way all of our non-public schools with the additional revenue from the federal government from stimulus. So Mr. Cook received this award for demonstrating outstanding dedication, leadership, and commitment to the Louisiana Association of Individuals who do his work, and was most recently honored at the national level for his work leading out on federal grant programs here in the state of Louisiana. So, Mr. Cook, we'd be honored if you'd come down and take a picture with Mr. Garvey and myself, and we could give you a round of applause.
So we know what the heck they are.
Okay, Mr. Rock, you would like to say a few words?
Please. Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues in education, Bernal Cook is one of a kind. As you all know, I represent the non-public side of the House on the board. We are very thankful for the dollars that we get from government over the past year. But when the EAMS money came along,
folks in non-public schools who've never seen that kind of money. Never. And for him to walk the superintendents and the principals and all through, he's just top notch. I can pick up the phone and call him. I love to tell him, yeah, I have his personal cell. And he can be in a meeting, I think, with Superintendent Bernal. But if I have to call, he'll step out and call me. Great guy. So happy to work alongside Cook. And I just tip my hat to you from the non-public side of the house.
Thank you so much. To Dr. Bromley, President Garvin, members of the board, and to the Department of Ed, it's been an honor and a privilege to serve in the capacity of federal program director for the state for now over 10 years. And my passion is providing equal opportunities for kids. It's in particular those that are high risk and at risk of failure. And it's been my charge to support our federal program directors across the state in building their capacity and using all of the funding that we have. And we've been in flux with many millions of dollars now. And I appreciate the support that I've been given internally and externally in the state. Just thank you so much for the award. But I would be remiss to even indicate for just a little bit that I do this by myself. I would like for my team to come forward, who I could not do this work without members of districts across the state recognize these guys back here. So would you come forward? So we have Ms. Susan Wolf here, who's on our grants management team with the electronic grants management system. Ms. Kenya Jenkins is over all those titles for federal programs. Melanie Mayu, who has taken a lead role in federal programs for her. Specialty is providing services support for ELs in our migrant population. And Ms. Angela Randall is over our statewide monitoring. All these federal programs that we receive, she leads that work. And then Mr. Randy Littleton, who our district's treasurer. Any problem they have with federal program, they call Randy, you know. So I would like for the agency to just applaud them as well. And if I could take a picture of them.
Bernal, how many years do you have with the department?
19.
Okay, that concludes that item. We have the next item, please, Ms. Davis.
Next item is consideration of the recognition of Her Excellency Louise Mushikiwavo, Secretary General of the International Organization of I don't know, Mr. Morris, can you help me with that word? Okay, there we go. Jenna Chatson's going to do the recognition.
Ms. Davis, I had considered requesting Mr. Morris to do this in French, and I thought it might be better for the audience if Dr. Chasson would attempt to engage him.
Dr. Chasson, bonjour.
Good morning. Yesterday, we recognized 9 schools as state-certified world language immersion schools in celebration of their hard work in educating our students to become global citizens. So today, it is only fitting, and it is my distinct pleasure to recognize a very special guest who is able to attend our board meeting today. Her Excellency Louise Mushikiwavo is the current Secretary General of the Organisation Internationale de la Francophonie. And this international organization represents 88 countries and regions where French is the customary language, where a significant proportion of the population are francophones, or where there is a notable affiliation with French culture. Louisiana was accepted into this organization in 2018, and this was a wonderful validation of Louisiana's rich Francophone heritage. Her Excellency, Louise Mushikiwavo, is the current Secretary General. She was appointed at the last summit of the OIF in October of 2018. She is from Rwanda and a former Minister of Foreign Affairs, a former Minister of Information, and also the government spokesperson. Secretary General, we are so pleased and honored to have you visit our state and your ongoing partnership in supporting French language education here in Louisiana.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, distinguished members of the Council, educators, and all of you here present. I am honored to have been given time from this very important sitting of the Council to be introduced and recognized. I am visiting the state of Louisiana. I was in New Orleans and then Baton Rouge, and trying to pronounce it in English, Baton Rouge, and then off to Lafayette this afternoon. I've been working with Senator Cassidy, Congressman Graves, and Governor Edwards, and the United States Ambassador to the United Nations, Linda Thomas Greenfield, who's a good friend of mine, to create strong links between the state of Louisiana and the organization that I lead. Indeed, we are present on the 5 continents. We have about 320 million speakers of the French language across the globe. And the state of Louisiana is exceptional in the sense that the United States of America has allowed one state to belong to an international organization, even though the United States itself does not belong to the organization. So we're very proud of the characteristics, the values, and the history that the state of Louisiana shares with all our members. We're everywhere. We're in North America with Canada, Quebec, New Brunswick. We are in Latin America. We're in the Caribbean. Of course, a large group of African countries are French speakers, which is where I come from. We have members in Eastern Europe, in the Middle East. And so you all in the state of Louisiana are the last born of the organization. I'm here to figure out how to improve the teaching of the French language, as well as create ties on the economic front, bringing Louisiana to the economies of the other 87 members and bringing the 87 members to Louisiana. And once again, I'm very grateful for your time, and I look forward to a strong relationship between Louisiana and the Francophone world, which is a big part of the world. I used to live in the United States. I'm a graduate of the University of Delaware, and I've sort of lived all over the world, and I'm very happy to be here. And thank you once again for your time.
Please.
Allons-y.
Good remembrance.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay.
So that concludes the recognition items. We have a motion and a second. Is there anyone opposed?
Is there anyone opposed? Any comments first? Any comments? Seeing none. Anyone opposed to the motion? Hearing no opposition, the motion carries. Next item.
Next item is the report of the State Superintendent of Education.
Mr. Superintendent.
Thank you, everyone, for the patience working our way through recognitions. I certainly felt they were all worthy, and I hope you agree, but I realized it took a little bit of time this morning. I'd like to just begin by directing everyone to think about our friends and colleagues in North Louisiana this morning as they've experienced tornadoes and storms. We know we have a number of schools that are out as a result of power outages in that part of the state. And so we certainly want to direct some level of attention to them. And also, if anyone has any specific information around which systems or schools are experiencing closure, Mr. Foltz can help with that information for you. He tracks that frequently. Legislative session is progressing. It appears that many of the bills that are priority bills for the board and the agency are moving forward. So that is positive news. Again, appreciate everyone's work last meeting on the social studies standards. Those appear to have received from some strong reception, and we're hoping that we get even more good news around curriculum and the ability to do some crosswalks for teachers and some of the structures that Dr. Chasson outlined yesterday, and we'll continue to update as appropriate. Good news, we sold out at Teacher Leader Summit, so we hit our 4,000 number. Which is great. We're really excited about having 4,000 teachers with us this upcoming summit. And we also added the System Leader Day. So we have one day that will just be at the beginning where our superintendents and other system leaders can come in and get a condensed version of everything that their teachers would experience over the course of the conference. So we're really excited about that. And I think we almost have every single system in the state with their system leader and around 10 of their teachers participating. So we have a really strong representation. We're looking forward to that event, May 31st to June 2nd, if you can attend. Looking forward to tonight and recognizing some of our most outstanding students in the state at the Student of the Year presentation. I hope that you're able to attend. Few other notes. We continue with our Hurricane Commission work. We launched the Hurricane Commission a few months ago to put our schools in a better position to know some of the details around how to prepare, how to respond to hurricanes. Many of the leaders that were in systems, minus Superintendent Boucher, are no longer in their system that were there for Katrina. And so many people are having to learn this work on the job, so to speak. And so that commission continues to meet. Their next meeting is April 19th. So far they have looked at just generally some things that might need to happen. The last session they looked at what things need to be happening during the off season of the storm to prepare. I believe this upcoming commission meeting will surround the week leading up to a storm. If you know that a storm is in the Gulf, some things that might need to happen. So they're doing good work. And then the last announcement I have is not fully developed, but essentially we are going to, as an agency, try to lead a multi-agency task force around chronic absenteeism and truancy. We are certainly concerned around the number of students who are not attending school every day, who are absent, who are truant. And some of this has even received media attention lately around students who are not in school. So We will be sharing more information later, but essentially we want to coordinate with other agencies at the state level. Want to coordinate with the DA's Association, Juvenile Judges Association, everyone that might have an interest or expertise around this particular area to see, even based on the things that we've already done, can we even be more broadly responsive to this particular concern coming out of the pandemic. So more information will be coming around about that in the future, but that concludes my report.
Thank you, Superintendent.
Mr. Morris, did you want to add something about around truancy here?
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Davis. Just first of all, I want to commend Dr. Brumley and his team for their response to this concern. Last year, the board had raised this concern, and Superintendent Brumley very quickly made the hire with Shamika Adams to help us address this concern. And I've gotten a lot of positive feedback about her work, very enthusiastic approach, very positive approach to addressing this concern. She's been very engaging with the community leaders, and I really appreciate the quick response there. Additionally, I noted there were 27, I think is the right number, of caseworkers, I don't know if I got the term right, Dr. Brumley, that attended the Jumpstart Convention. So you got that group together to address this concern. And then March, BESE, the board saw the KPI that was developed to track truancy in the state. So initially, I asked for 5 years of data pre-COVID on this, and alarmingly, what I saw was 5 years pre-COVID, the average was 35%. In 2017, it was actually 48%. And then we saw in the March KPI, the number was 40.2%. So that's certainly alarming to all of us, but we do appreciate the quick response that you and your team made in that area. And just like to add to your comments and see if the board would consider a formal motion to follow up here. So I wanted to offer a motion along those lines. Just a second here. Find it and read it. Members, the motion that I would propose for now is to direct the department to present at the June meeting information on attendance rates in Louisiana and strategies that have been proven beneficial in our districts, other states, or districts in other states with exemplary attendance. The LDE is to invite other state agencies who are involved in ensuring Louisiana students attend school to join the presentation to discuss their role and challenges in achieving exemplary attendance.
We have a motion. Ms. Davis, with a second for the motion. Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments from BESE members? Hearing none, we have no public comments? None? Hearing none, do we have any objections to the motion? Hearing none, motion carries. Next item.
Next item is reports from BESE members regarding statutory and legislative task force appointments.
Do we have any BESE members that would like to fill us in? Mr. Rock.
Just very briefly, I represent BESE on the JAG board here in Louisiana. And last night, we, superintendent and the staff, we attended dinner at the governor's bench with the governor and the national president. Quite moving testimony from two of our students in Louisiana. I've always known the JAG students. I was really touched by some of the work that the JAG specialists are doing in the schools. And I just hope that we can expand that program. It almost looks as if some children were almost lost in the system. And for whatever reason, these JAG specialists can take these kids and turn their lives around. And it was really, really moving last night. And just to mention, I certainly hope that, of course, in the legislature, we're hoping there'll be some additional funding to our additional programs across the state with JAG.
Thank you, Mr. Rock. It really has been a tremendous program that has produced very good results for our state. Thank you. Do we have any other BESE members that would like to? Ms. Davis.
The Special Education Advisory Panel met several weeks ago, and we continue to try to hone in on ideas that will help us turn teachers that are teaching without certification in special education in order to target them for certification, because these are individuals who already have experience. I mean, we need to be figuring out how we can help steer them towards special education certification. And also just, so you know, there is legislation that is a result of the task force on the true cost of operating a bus in Louisiana. I served on that task force, I guess it's been 1.5 years ago, and there is legislation trying to address the problems that were identified by that task force.
Ms. Davis, do you know what bill number that is?
I do not, but I can look it up for you.
It'd be, I think, helpful for us to know. It sounds like important stuff. Okay, any other BESE members that would like to add to the conversation? Okay, seeing none. Next item, please.
Next item. Academic Goals and Instructional Improvement Committee reports, item 7.1. Mr. Mellering.
On behalf of the Academic Goals and Instructional Improvement Committee, I move to approve motions 1 through 30, noting that motions 21 through 23 and 25 through 30 are notices of intent, and motion 24 is a declaration of emergency.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second to that motion? Mr. Rock, please. Thank you. Okay, do we have any questions or comments from BESE members? Do we have any comment cards submitted? Okay, do we have any objections to the motion? Seeing none, motion carries. Next item.
Next item, 7.2, Administration and Finance Committee. Ms. Holloway.
On behalf of the Administration and Finance Committee, I move to approve motions 1 through 30.
Okay, do we have a second for that motion? Mr. Miller, thank you. Do we have any questions or comments? Ms. Davis.
I would like to recuse myself for motion 13, 21, and 22.
Okay. Any other recusals? Hearing none. Okay, any other questions or comments? Hearing none. Do we have any objections to the motion? Hearing none, motion carries. Next item.
Next item, 7.3, Educator Effectiveness Committee. Mr. Rock.
On behalf of the Educator Effectiveness Committee, I move to approve motions 1 to 7 and 9 to 13, noting that motion 9 is the 10th, and pulling motion 8 as a read.
Okay, do we capture that on the recording? Okay, great. Do we have a second to that motion? Mr. Miller, thank you. Okay, we have one item pulled as a read. Can we read that item?
Do you want to clear the others off the...
Yes, okay. Do we have any questions or comments about the other items other than the one that's being pulled for a read? Hearing none, do we have any objections to those items? Hearing none, those items carry. Now we have the item that's been pulled.
Item that's been pulled is behind tab 7.3, page 3, motion 8. And this is related to the 746 certification revisions. The board approved all of the sections presented yesterday, excluding section 1360, which was removed from the notice of intent. And then there was to be a report in June, or a revision proposed in June. So I know there's some discussions that are regarding this.
Okay. Do we need to read the details on this item before we go to Mr. Morris?
If I just get a proposal of what needs to be done, I think we're good. I don't think we need to.
Okay, Mr. Morris, you'd like to speak, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. We had some really good discussion late yesterday and again this morning on this topic, recognizing the increased demand for geometry teachers in the state and the need for students to get that quality education that opens doors for so many career paths. And so I wanted to offer a motion to the board that LBOE adopt a revision to Bulletin 746 to include a geometry add-on certification without Algebra 1 certification.
Okay, do we have a second on that motion? Calling Mr. I am sorry.
Too far.
I'm sorry, yes, yes. Mr. Superintendent, you have comments, please?
I believe the request is we would essentially be striking under Under A, where it says pass the following, we would be striking Algebra 1 content exam, and the rest would remain the same. The administration supports this move, especially considering geometry is moving to be a required course for all high school students, and there would be a need, not necessarily for additional math teachers across the state, but additional teachers certified in geometry.
Okay. Do we have any questions or comments from BESE members?
So we would be adding 1360 into the notice with the other sections that were approved yesterday, 303, 1349, 1505, 1543. We're adding 1360, removing 2A2 Algebra 1 content exam, but approving everything else in that section.
Okay, we have that captured correctly. Sounds good. Do we have any other questions from BESE members? Hearing none, do we have any objections to the motion? Hearing none, motion carries. Next item.
Next item, School Innovation and Turnaround Committee. Mr. Castillo.
On behalf of the School Innovation and Turnaround Committee, I move to approve motion 1.
Okay, do we have a second to that motion? Mr. Miller, thank you. Ms. Holloway? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you wanted to speak. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have any questions or comments from BESE members? Seeing none, do we have any cards submitted for this item?
No, sir.
Okay, seeing none, do we have any objections to the motion? Hearing none, motion carries. Next item.
Next item, consideration of a waiver request from Lafourche Parish School District regarding policy contained in Bulletin 741, the Louisiana Handbook of School Administrators, submitted by the State Superintendent of Education. A recommendation is to, number 1, approve, and number 2, approve the revisions as outlined, and 2, deny the revisions as outlined in the exec rec as well.
Okay, Ms. Holloway, I think you would like to address this issue?
Yes, do you,
Would you,
you'd like
well, we
to-
need to get a motion on the floor.
I would
Would
like
you like
to,
to go with the current motion and then adopt?
No, sir, I'd like to
later?
make a substitute motion. I would like to make a substitute motion to approve 1 and 2 due to the complications related to the pandemic as well as Hurricane Ida.
Okay. Items 1 and 2, was there a third item in the list? So that covers all the items?
Yes, sir.
All the issues? Okay, we have a speaker.
Second.
Do we have a second?
We do.
Mr. Morris, did you second? Okay, we have a second. Mr. Gerard Martin, please, Superintendent, I believe.
Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Brumley, thank you for my own.
No. Press the button. Oh, it's on, I'm sorry.
Do I need to get
Okay.
closer?
Yes, thank you. Apologize.
Thank you. I appreciate you considering this item this morning. We submitted this waiver request in February in light of the pandemic and what happened to our school system as we were navigating the pandemic and then hit by Hurricane Ida. As you all know, Hurricane Ida traveled right through Lafourche Parish and caused tremendous and devastating that are in a position that they may not graduate because they don't have either a LEAP 2025 score or a credential required to graduate. An example of this, in the year 2020, biology students all were scheduled to take the LEAP 2025 exam. In the year 20, no tests were given because we closed school. Then you move into the year 2021, and we navigated the pandemic all that year. We had thousands of kids having to quarantine at any given time, and we had to open the school year pure virtual, go hybrid, then every day navigate the pandemic. That was year 2021. So those biology students who never took the test took American history that year. And if they faltered in the American history test that year, they have to take American history again this year. This year, we began the school year still fighting the pandemic. On August 27th, we had 1,700 of our 1,400 students quarantining because of close contacts. Then Hurricane Ida hits August 29th. We did not return to school until October 18th. And when we returned to school, we could only open half of South Lafourche High School as an example, because the other half was still in complete and total disarray. We got the kids back to school October 18th on an every other day basis until January. January, we were able to open the whole school, and we were able to get kids in school 5 days a week. In January of this year, January 14th, in our school district, 2,280 students were quarantined because of being identified as a close contact. So this year is the graduating year for this small pocket of students. They have had to navigate the pandemic for 2 years. We're not afforded the opportunity to take the biology exam as a sophomore as a result, and are now faced with the chaos, confusion, and crisis that not only the pandemic, but Hurricane Ida layered on top of that. What we're asking the board to consider approving is a simple waiver which would allow ACT scores or other measures to substitute as a LEAP 2025 required score for courses like American history and not stop these students from graduating, because my fear, my concern, my belief is that if they do not graduate this year, they will not return and they will become dropouts and enter the adult stage of their life without the most important thing that they need, which is a high school diploma. So I appreciate you listening to me this morning, and I certainly hope that you consider approving this request. Thank you.
Mr. Martin, to clarify too, so that we get this correct, is this only for one school?
This would be for the 3 high schools. All 3 of our schools were tremendously impacted by this. South Lafourche being the most impacted, but the numbers are consistent through the district. This would be South Lafourche, Central Lafourche, and Thibodeau High School.
And Mr. Martin, to further clarify, this is an issue, as you've stated, of the pandemic combined with the hurricane, not just a hurricane waiver request, particularly regarding the biology issue that was created by the pandemic. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. President. The problem that these seniors are facing began with the pandemic of 20. In the pandemic year of 20, if you're a sophomore, you have to take the biology exam and pass it as a graduation requirement. If you don't pass it, you then have to pass the American history exam to graduate. So it's a either or. These kids weren't afforded the first phase of that, and that's directly pandemic related. And so if you don't navigate the second phase of that, you now can't graduate. And the problems associated with the second phase of that are heavily pandemic related, but also exaggerated by Hurricane Ida.
Great. We on this board are concerned about creating precedents that we're not intending to create. That helps clarify that issue. We do have another issue that has 4 parts. Let me read this to you. Is it your intention that this waiver is still going to, under this waiver, the students will still be required to have an ACT composite score of 17 or higher? That's 17 or higher on the ACT subject area corresponding to the LEAP 2025 assessment needed to graduate, and silver or better on the ACT work keys assessment if the student is pursuing a career diploma, and participate in 20 or more hours of extended learning in the content area for which the student has not yet achieved the appropriate achievement level. All of those items would still apply.
Yes, Mr. President, yes.
Great. I think we have the clarifications that we need. Superintendent, do you have any other issues that we need to address?
No, I mean, I think this is certainly a school community that was rocked, and appreciated the opportunity to collaborate with the superintendent and offer support. On item 1, we have a recommendation originally had a recommendation to approve, because that is the action the board took last year with Calcasieu. The second item in his letter, which is not included on the recommendation, has been internally handled. And then item 3, we had the denial because the board has never taken action on something like this before. And so we needed to know where the board wanted to be on this issue. I will say that the items that Mr. Garvey read out are the items that we put in place last year as a result of the pandemic. So linking it all back to the pandemic, those are the items that we used last year to allow students to qualify for graduation if they didn't meet PhD requirements. And then finally, just as a point, these types of policy decisions are the policy decisions that our Hurricane Commission will be looking at some point down the road as well. Because it's not just about storm preparedness during the season, out of season, it's not just about aftermath response, but one of the things that we intend to look at with the Hurricane Commission are which local policies might be impacted by a storm and might need to be revised, and then additionally which state policies at this level, and then does there need to be any form of legislation? So that will be a function of the Hurricane Commission. So we just haven't gotten to this point yet with the commission. So that would conclude my comments, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other comments from other BESE members? Okay, hearing none, do we have any objections to the motion? Hearing none, motion carries. Next item.
That concludes your agenda.
Mr. Garvey?
Yes, ma'am.
I just have to give you
Stay.
those legislative.
Oh, great,
bill
yes,
numbers.
ma'am, I'd like to write that
So
down.
for the bus operator compensation, Senate Bill 57 by Senator McMath, and that bill made it out of Senate Ed last week. And then House Bill 215 by Representative Linda White was on the agenda for House Ed today, but it looks like it was pulled. So I think these might be companion bills that are working their way through the list.
Great, thank you for helping us try to address that issue. Any other issues? I don't think so. So that adjourns, that concludes our meeting. Thank you.